All right. Hello, everybody. We are live with Charlie Lee, creator of Litecoin, the man, the myth, the legend. And today, I want to thank everybody from the Litecoin community, the Cake Wallet community, and just anywhere you came from, because this is kind of a cool moment to talk about privacy, cryptocurrency, finances, and how we can take better ownership of them, and of course bringing all those people together. And Charlie Lee, I think, is a perfect person to discuss a lot of these concepts with. So welcome to the live stream, Charlie, and thanks for accepting the invite, for coming on.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so for people who don't, hopefully most people know who you are, but for people who don't know who are you and what have you worked on in the past?
Yeah, so my name is Charlie Lee. I created Litecoin back in 2011. Um, Found about Bitcoin in early 2011, and then decided to just try creating an altcoin, and didn't expect much of it, and kind of just blew up. And then I also worked at Coinbase as director of engineering. Um, And in 2017, I left Coinbase to focus solely on Litecoin and help Litecoin adoption and work with Litecoin Foundation on Litecoin.
Yeah, so what was the original philosophy behind Litecoin? Because there's so many cryptocurrencies out there, so why did you feel that Litecoin was a solution that you wanted?
The first thing I thought of was Bitcoin being digital gold, and gold and silver have both been used as money in our past, and figured making a coin that is silver to Bitcoin's gold, and that's how Litecoin came about. So a coin that is just easier to transact, being faster, cheaper, and complementary to Bitcoin.
Nice. And then do you feel that's still where Litecoin is today? Do you feel like what Litecoin has become is different from that original vision of yours?
I think it's basically stayed the same, right? So Litecoin is used by a lot of people, and it works better than Bitcoin because it has lower fees and faster transactions. And for smaller purchases, that's just it's a perfect use case. So like you wouldn't send $5 of Bitcoin because it would cost you like 50 cents or more in fees, right? That's like 10% of what you're sending. So in that case, sending Litecoin or even like stuff like Lightning Network will work better than just plain on-chain Bitcoin. But yeah, we do see a lot of people using Litecoin for just smaller purchases, and because it's 4 times faster, it just feels like it feels a lot faster, and it feels like it's something that you can use for everyday transactions.
Nice. And then for people who are a little bit unfamiliar with Litecoin, what makes Litecoin faster than something like Bitcoin? Is it a tech difference? Is it a usability difference? What's actually going on there?
It's a simple parameter change. So Satoshi, when he designed Bitcoin, he decided to make confirmations 10 minutes. So the time for confirmation is there are trade-offs, right? If it's really fast, then miners could potentially be inefficient when they create competing blocks. When if two blocks are found at the same time at the same height, then only one of them would succeed. So one of the miner would lose out on the coins they mine. There's also issue with propagation of network being split. If the confirmations are too fast, then potential for two separate kind of chains to grow on different networks that are not talking to each other. So there could be a chain split, and that could be very inefficient and cause double spending issues. So Satoshi was very conservative and chose 10 minutes to be the confirmation time. And in practice, I personally just felt like 10 minutes was too long. I mean, it's the trade-off is hard to figure out what's actually the best like confirmation time, but 2.5 minutes is still we don't see a lot of inefficiency in terms of like splits and same blocks being found. So, but then confirmation is a lot faster, and getting to like six confirmation is just 15 minutes as opposed to like an hour, right?
Yeah. And I guess with Litecoin specifically, I wanted to ask a little bit about the structure of things. since I'm a little bit newer to the project than some people who might be involved with Litecoin for years and years. And so it took me a while to kind of research the Litecoin Foundation versus the Litecoin project, and then kind of where you reside in all of that. So do you mind kind of breaking down how Litecoin is structured as an organization, a project, or whatever describes it best?
Yeah, so Litecoin, like Bitcoin, is a open source decentralized cryptocurrency, right? So it was launched by me in 2011, and it kind of and after launch, basically, it's kind of like its own like living thing, right? You practically can't kill it. So developers work on the code to fix bugs and upgrade the network. And then the Litecoin Foundation is kind of its own separate thing. It's a centralized nonprofit entity that is focused on supporting Litecoin in terms of like supporting the developers, paying for developers, and then also working towards adoption, talking to merchants and other companies about Litecoin adoption, and just basically pushing Litecoin forward and the whole ecosystem forward. The Litecoin Foundation started in 2016. So it wasn't here when Litecoin first started. When Litecoin first started, it was myself and a few other developers working on it. And then there was actually another nonprofit called the Litecoin Association that supported Litecoin back then. That basically went defunct. And then for a while, we didn't have any kind of company or company supporting Litecoin. But then we spun up the Litecoin Foundation in 2016 to help support Litecoin. So that's been going on really well.
Nice. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Litecoin Foundation funds Litecoin developers, but it's being like an open source project. Like anyone can start working on Litecoin, right? They can contribute code, they can work with the current Litecoin developers and contribute. And then if the foundation is its own separate thing, right? So someone else can, if they have a different idea of how they can support Litecoin, they can start up their own foundation or association or whatever to support Litecoin. And we have seen like some people do that.
Yeah, and the community is really strong. I know we sponsored and went to Litecoin in Nashville this year, and it was just cool to see so many different people and how they advocated for Litecoin. And it seems to be a pretty nice, like grassroots style community, which is really cool. One of the recent things that has been really exciting to watch has been MWEB, and I've already had to describe MWEB a lot of times on my end, and I think you can probably describe it better than I can anyway. So for people who aren't familiar, do you mind touching on MWEB and kind of what that is and for Litecoin?
Yeah, so a little bit of background. So one of the things that I felt like was missing from Bitcoin, even when I first kind of ran across Bitcoin in 2011, is so Bitcoin is kind of in terms of like good sound money, it has all the features of good money, except for one, which is fungibility. Fungibility means that like every Bitcoin is the same and equal to every other Bitcoin. So for example, US dollar, like cash is fungible. You go to a store, it doesn't matter which dollar bill you spend, the value is still $1, right? Unless it's counterfeit, right? If it's a real dollar bill, it doesn't matter which exact one, it doesn't matter what serial number is on the bill. So with Bitcoin, it's not fully fungible because there's history attached to it. So if the Bitcoin came from like a darknet marketplace and then you send it to an exchange, that exchange might be able to, it will be able to see where it came from, and it can decide to not accept the coins or even ban your account because they can't deal with for whatever regulatory reasons, they don't want to deal with people who use darknet marketplaces, for example. So that makes the coin not fungible, not fully fungible, which is bad for cash, right? Bad for money, because with money you shouldn't have to kind of pick and choose which bill to spend. So the idea with MWEB is to add a little bit more privacy to Litecoin to make it to make the coins more fungible. And MWEB is an optional kind of privacy layer. So what MWEB stands for is Mimblewimble extension blocks. So we're using the extension blocks to add Mimblewimble technology, which I'll go over in a little bit. Extension blocks is basically every Litecoin block has an associated MWEB block where all the MWEB transactions take place. And then you can move coins between the two blocks. So you can peg into MWEB, which is the privacy fungibility layer. And then if you want it back in the clear mainnet, you can peg the coins back out. So for example, some exchanges don't support MWEB coins. So if you want to deposit your coins into an exchange, you would just peg it out back to mainnet and then send it to them via like a mainnet Litecoin address. And then when it's on the MWEB side, what's nice is that all the amounts are hidden. So using very powerful, like complicated cryptography, we can hide the amount from everyone else except for the sender and recipient. So the sender and recipient obviously need to know how many coins are being sent, but no one else really needs to know. But using cryptography, we can still prove that the amounts were sent, like no coins were created out of thin air, because that's the kind of the most dangerous thing about a private coin, where if you can't tell how many coins are sent, it's hard. You can't prove that no coins are created out of thin air, right? But with cryptography, you can. So that's what MWEB provides, or specifically what the Mimblewimble and confidential transaction technology provides. And then so that's the main thing. There's also some routing privacy where all the transactions are kind of pulled together. So it makes it really hard to tell who's sending to who. And that helps a bit with privacy and fungibility. It's not perfect, but it's good enough, I believe.
Yeah, so when you say it's not perfect, are there still areas where you feel MWEB can be improved going forward, or do you feel this is kind of the best that we can do with Litecoin in its current state?
What would help improve is just more people using it. So right now, like because we initially only launched it on desktop Litecoin Core Wallet, there's just not a lot of people using it right now. That we have it on like Cake Wallet and other wallets, we'll see more and more usage, and that will help because as more and more people use it, your transactions are just kind of hidden in the crowd, right? So you're just one of like 1,000 or 10,000 transactions. It's hard to see what's going on. But if you're the only person using MWEB, then everyone can see someone is sending to someone else, right? So more people using it would help. But yeah, so I think I expect to see more and more people using it, which is going to be great.
Yeah, you heard it here from Charlie Lee himself. If you're a Litecoin user, peg into MWEB and start using it because you're going to get better privacy and other people will as well.
Yeah, I think like financial privacy is a human right. Like right now, if you send, like whenever I send Litecoin on the mainnet, people can see like where the coins came from, how many Litecoins you have. Nothing is private. And for most people, you don't want other people to know how many coins you have, how much you got paid. Like if your salary is paid in Litecoin, you don't want people to know how much you get paid every month. It's just kind of having financial privacy is kind of a nice thing. So I guess I would say just play around with MWEB. Download Cake Wallet, try out MWEB, send some coins, peg in some coins, and check it out.
Yeah, and definitely send us feedback because it's a new feature. And there have been a couple bugs here and there, and anyone who tries it, let us know if there's any issues and we'll definitely work it out. But it's been very positive and the Litecoin community's really been enjoying it. So yeah, nothing but good stuff there. Are there future technologies for Litecoin that you're really excited about? I'm seeing someone in the live chat mention wrapped Litecoin, but I don't know if that's a thing or not.
Yeah, that was something we recently announced. We're working with CoinUT exchange in Singapore that is helping with launching Wrap Litecoin, which is basically so it's WLTC, right? So it's you take your Litecoin and then you wrap it so that it becomes a token on the Ethereum network. And once it's a token on Ethereum network, you can do whatever you want on in the DeFi space, right? Whether it's like borrowing against it, whether it's using it as collateral, which is the same thing, or other smart contracts. So it opens up the possibility of Litecoin being used in the smart contract space, which is very exciting.
Nice. And then kind of going back to privacy a little bit, I got distracted with the comment, but on financial privacy, before MWEB, were there any privacy mitigations that existed with Litecoin, or is that kind of the first iteration of like real privacy on the Litecoin network?
I mean, MWEB is the main thing that Litecoin differs from Bitcoin, right? So before MWEB, Litecoin is basically the same as Bitcoin with a few changes. So whatever privacy feature we have with Bitcoin is the same we have with Litecoin.
Got it. And then, so I'm going to try to tie these together because I'm seeing a couple questions here. Do you see MWEB as a competitor to other privacy cryptocurrencies that just focus on privacy? Or do you see these kind of coexisting and serving different use cases?
I think we're all trying to kind of improve privacy, right? So like with a coin like Monero, the privacy is a lot stronger than Mimblewimble and MWEB. But there are trade-offs, right? So because it's not opt-in, right? It's every single transaction is using ring signatures and all the stuff that Monero has. There'll be more regulatory pressure, right? Monero is not really traded on a lot of exchanges. I actually obviously don't know which exchanges trade Monero today, but it's been an issue, right? Whereas like Litecoin is traded on practically every exchange. It's very liquid. It's easy to get in. So it's a trade-off we kind of decided to do where it's opt-in privacy, and it's not full privacy, right? If someone really wants to break it, they can, but it's good enough for most people, right? Which is what we're targeting. So it's good enough for most and for fungibility, which is very important. So yeah, I think there is room for definitely other coins like Monero and Zcash and other to try different things. And it's a way to kind of test things out for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin, whether it's layer 2 or an upgrade to layer 1, really needs more privacy, I think, just in the future. So yeah, I'd like to see that kind of some sort of privacy get added to Bitcoin. Probably layer 2 though.
Yeah, I know that across the board, for better or for worse, privacy doesn't seem to be people's main priority when they're using cryptocurrency. And so if we can make privacy better for people who aren't opting to use more privacy respecting tools like MWEB and whatnot, it's still a win across the board. And Bitcoin seems to be quite a bit slower in adopting those privacy technologies, which is sad to see.
Well, it's always a trade-off with like privacy and just ease of use, right? Most people would give up privacy for ease of use. I mean, people do it all the time with like whatever they're doing online these days, right? And that's just the way it is. So the goal for all of us is to try to make privacy easy to use, right? So like people using MWEB, they don't need to know like whether or not they're using MWEB or not. Like you get an MWEB address, you send coins there. They don't need to know the details of how the coins get pegged in, how the coins are stored and stuff like that. So just trying to make things easy and then people use it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I am one of those people. I don't understand exactly how MWEB works, but I still know how to click the button, peg in, and then I have a different address that I can send to people, and I know that it has better privacy, and then I can always peg out those funds, and then I have regular Litecoin. And for anyone who hasn't tried MWEB, definitely try it out. It's in the desktop client for Litecoin, the official desktop client. It's in Cake Wallet for mobile, and it's very easy to use, I think, on both of them.
Yeah, right now there's about 100,000 Litecoins pegged into MWEB, which represents about $8 million in funds. So there's quite a bit of money in there right now. One thing that's people are always concerned about privacy is just the kind of the attack surface it opens up, where there are some like private coins that were implemented wrong, right? There are bugs in it that cause like hidden inflation and issues like that. So it needs to be tested. And MWEB has been around for a few years now, and it's been working flawlessly, knock on wood. But yeah, it's something people should be aware of. It's not as well tested as the main chain, the like Litecoin and Bitcoin itself, but I feel very comfortable using it.
Nice. And then one question about MWEB. It's a good question. Is it quantum resistant? Is that a concern for you?
It is. So there is. It's complicated, right? So I'm trying to remember the details, but there's we use switch commitments. So at a point where quantum can actually break the cryptography, you can switch over and can mitigate the issue. But more work needs to be done. But right now it's fairly quantum resistant, but we need to be aware of it, right? We need to know when quantum is an issue to actually switch it over.
Got it. I'm just going through some extra comments here. This is one I was wondering about too.
It's a very good question. Like quantum resistance is something on top of mind for a lot of people, because Bitcoin and Litecoin itself, the public-private key is not quantum resistant. So, but hashing is, but that doesn't solve the whole problem. So it's something that possibly Bitcoin and Litecoin would need to switch to quantum resistant public-private key solution, and that may come sooner rather than later. So it's something to keep in mind.
Is that something that's been discussed internally right now, or that you're involved with at all?
I'm not involved with it, but I'm sure people are talking about it, thinking about it.
Cool. Yeah. A question I've been wondering, because it's been very prevalent. Litecoin has been very big right now on social media because of the memes that are going around. Is there a story behind that? Did it just started happening? And if it's not something you know about and it's just the community doing its own thing, I think that's a perfectly valid response as well.
Well, it is the Litecoin Foundation behind the Litecoin Twitter handle. So I guess we wanted to try something different, right? For better and worse, Litecoin has been very boring, and that's kind of a good thing, right? For it to be used as it's money, right? It's not something that you can just money is boring, right? You don't go to a forum and talk about US dollar and how cool it is, and right. So people use it a lot, but people don't talk about it, right? It's not exciting to talk about Litecoin. So we figured we could just try something fun, right? Where we have the Litecoin Foundation Twitter handle that we wanted to stay kind of serious and just announce Litecoin news and talk about Litecoin adoption and stuff. But the Litecoin handle can joke around and do stuff, right? And then once we decided to make that change, it just kind of blew up. Like we made a really funny tweet and then kind of just set the tone and just built on top of that. Yeah.
People are eating it up. It's being very well received. And it's cool to see Litecoin get some attention from it.
Yeah, and I made a tweet about it that it's just crazy that kind of attention caused the Litecoin price to go up, whereas like all the good stuff that's happened throughout the past few years did not really move the price at all in terms of like the ETF announcement, application, the wrap Litecoin, even MWEB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that make you feel?
Yeah. It's fine. I mean, it is. I mean, we are in this meme culture where like these things really grab attention, which is fine. And I mean, the price doesn't matter that much, right? The price, the reason why the price matters is when the price goes up, you get more attention, and you get more people buying the coin and trying it out, right? And you get more adoption that way. With a very kind of stale price, it's you don't get attention, you don't get more adoption. So price helps with adoption, but in terms of like being Litecoin being used as money, a stable price is actually better, right? For people spending Litecoin. So it's there are plus and minuses.
Yeah, and
But it is exciting. Yeah.
yeah, seeing some positive stuff in the live chat. Come for the meme and stay for the sound money is kind of one of the comments here. That's really nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's another tweet I made. I think people hear about Litecoin, try it out, and find out that it's actually very cool. It's very cool use of kind of the technology of making like the best form of money.
Right, and then kind of on the topic of price and money, a question here for you as well from someone in the live chat. Are there any plans to have a stable coin on the Litecoin network?
You mean creating a stable coin on the Litecoin network?
It's the question they asked, so.
Yeah, it's like, so previously we talked to like Tether, like about them launching Tether on the Litecoin network. That didn't happen, but it is something that I think would be cool. I think because Litecoin works. So one of the cool thing about Litecoin is it's I like to say that it just works, right? It hasn't seen any downtime since inception, since 2011, right? It's been going on. Even Bitcoin has some hiccups, and Litecoin kind of avoided those hiccups, thankfully. So Litecoin has been up and running for 13 plus years with no downtime, and just works on average every 2.5 minutes we get a block and transfer $1 trillion of value over these like the past few years. So yeah, what was I even talking about? Yeah, because like it just works. People can launch and stable coins on Litecoin and there won't be any issues with it, right? The network won't be down, fees will be low, transactions will happen fast, and just you can move values around, even stable coins around. So yeah, I'm not really talking to anyone about launching stable coins on Litecoin, but it's something that it's on my mind, and it's something that Litecoin could be good at.
What's the benefit of having a stable coin on the Litecoin network? Aside from, you just outlined the benefits for Litecoin, but what are the benefits for Litecoin to have a stable coin? Does that make sense?
There's not really any benefit for Litecoin itself to have a stable coin. It's just Litecoin would be a good network to launch these things on because it's stable, it works. But yeah, specifically there's no, other than just transactions of that stable coin would pay miners, right? Would generate fees to pay miners and pay for the security of the network. Other than that, there's really no benefit.
Got it. And then feel free to start leaving some more questions in the live chat. I only have a couple more on my end, so just to give everyone kind of a little heads up on where I'm at. In terms of future of Litecoin, what are you excited for in the coming years?
I'm excited for more MWEB adoption. I'm excited for more mobile wallets, including like Cake Wallet, to support MWEB and push for more adoption and more people using it. Yeah, and I think the focus for Litecoin has always been just good money and for payments. So one thing that's been great is that this whole past year, Litecoin is the most used cryptocurrency on BitPay. So of all the BitPay merchants and transactions, Litecoin is being used the most. Like up to 40% of all transactions is Litecoin. I think it's like 30% now, but it's been the number one, even more than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's just great to see that people are just using Litecoin, and they're like, people use Litecoin, they don't talk about it, right? Because it's useful for them to use, and there's no need to talk about it, right? So a lot of people use it, and it's boring, but it just works. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about just pushing that forward and making Litecoin even better at being used for payments.
Yeah, I know even because Cake Wallet has previously had a very big Monero community. A lot of Monero people
Mhm.
still really like Litecoin because for them it's how they eventually get their Monero. They start with Litecoin and it's eventually what they swap into Monero. And so it's just a really useful tool that's fast and easy to use.
Yep.
Um, and then this is kind of it's a fun, you always have the right to waive the question, but I like to ask people anyway. What is your favorite project that isn't your own project? So do you have a favorite cryptocurrency that is not Litecoin, and why?
Um, can I say Bitcoin?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
My favorite cryptocurrency is Bitcoin other than Litecoin. I mean, I think Bitcoin is it's the main coin, right? I'm very excited about Bitcoin and where it's going. Like obviously the price is up, everyone's happy, but just the fact that there's a lot of institutional adoption today, and then we'll see like um, state level adoption where countries are buying Bitcoin. I mean, even Donald Trump said that he will start like a Bitcoin reserve. We'll see it. I'll believe it when it happens, but it's a step in the right direction. I think Bitcoin is a new asset class that's going to compete on the level of like gold and in US dollar, right? It'll be up there. So that's very exciting to see. Um, so Bitcoin is definitely the project I'm excited about.
Nice. No, I think it's a perfectly reasonable answer. Um, Someone just asked about Charlie touching on the meme situation. We touched on that already, so you can go back and watch the replay of this live stream to see the answer to that. Someone asked any predictions on Litecoin's price. I don't know if you ever talk about price for Litecoin, but that's
Sometimes, but it always backfires.
yeah.
I mean, I'm bullish on price, but it's been disappointing. Like Litecoin, to be honest, Litecoin has done well on all fronts except for price. Like adoption, just usage, and just all these things happening with Litecoin, and it's been doing really well. But the price hasn't really kind of reflected it. So I'm hoping that we'll see kind of a reversal where the price would kind of reflect how well it's doing. But it is what it is, right? The price, I have no control over it. People have no control over it. It's kind of it'll do its own thing, and I can't focus on it.
Yeah. Um, Another question here: what do you think of drive chains on Litecoin? Is that something we may see in the future?
Possibly this kind of it's interesting. A lot of teams have talked to me about pushing their kind of their agenda, right? They want this to launch on Bitcoin and Litecoin. Launching it on Litecoin would help that, and that started with like SegWit, right? Where SegWit Litecoin activated SegWit first, and then that really helped with SegWit adoption and activation on Bitcoin. So, and this is because Litecoin is a real network with real money involved. So the game theory aspect can be tested. This is something that can't be tested on testnet because testnet coins aren't worth anything. So nobody will kind of test the attack surface of anything you launch. Whereas if it's launched on Litecoin, there's real money involved, then bad actors will try to break it. And that's the real world test that you need for something like drive chain or something else. But yeah, I mean, that's something that the team has approached us about it. Um, it really depends on the community, right? So yes, I can kind of fight for it if I say something. If I say I want drive chain on Litecoin, I mean that's one thing about the difference between Litecoin and Bitcoin is because I'm around, I have like a influence over the direction Litecoin. Whereas with Bitcoin, because Satoshi's not around, you can't like people do say like this is Satoshi's vision, this is what we should do, but Satoshi's not out there saying that's what he wants to do. Whereas with Litecoin, I can do that, which I've done with like MWEB and SegWit. But I don't feel very strongly about like drive chain. It's not something that Litecoin needs. But if the community wants it, I'm all for it, right? If there's a really strong push for launching drive chain or anything else on Litecoin, I'm I'm not against it. I'll go along with what the community wants.
Yeah. If If you could snap your fingers and just instantly make something happen right now for Litecoin, what would you make happen?
I'll make the price at all-time high today.
Oh, there we go. Everyone's gonna like that. How about tech?
Tech.
Yeah. If you could snap your fingers and just instantly fix any tech issue or problem that you'd want solved.
Um, well, a few things, right? So if I can instantly make Litecoin like MWEB available on all like mobile wallets and everything, where we can start seeing a lot more MWEB adoption, that's something I like to see happen. I would also fix like the quantum computing issue with Litecoin and Bitcoin. I think that's something that we'll need to fix eventually. So if we can fix it right now, that'd be great. But we're not there yet. So
Yeah, it's a hypothetical. A question from Randy Hipper, or Miss Teen Crypto. She thinks there might be a Bitcoin supply shock. Do you think eventually there could be a Litecoin strategic reserve?
what exactly does that mean, Bitcoin supply shock?
It's a good question. Randy, if you're still in the chat, definitely explain what you mean. Then a lot of people are asking about the chicken Litecoin mascot.
Uh-huh. Well, that's been around for a long time, right? The new thing is Lester, which is pretty funny. But like the Litecoin chicken meme has been around for like since almost the beginning of Litecoin. And then we took it and ran with it when we did the when I did the Magical Crypto Friends podcast with the group of people, and then yeah, and then we made a lot of like Litecoin chicken like meme like images and stuff. So that was pretty fun. Yeah, and we're gonna take it and run with it today with like the chicken and Lester.
Nice. There, someone's been spamming the chat asking to ask about chicken. So I hope you like that, Yavru. Let's see. Someone said they tested Mimblewimble and they said it's insanely fast, which is awesome. And then kind of an update to Randy's question. She said there's only around, I think 2 million Bitcoin. At least that's what they wrote here. But I think they meant 20 million. You probably know that better.
21 million Bitcoins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
So I guess the question is, if there's just a crazy adoption, there's not enough Bitcoin to go around, and the price will go up like a lot. I assume that's the question, but yeah, so that's possibly what would happen. I mean, a lot of people are predicting crazy prices, like Microsoft is predicting crazy prices about Bitcoin, reaching millions of dollars. It's definitely possible. Like if Bitcoin, if adoption really takes off and countries are adding Bitcoin to their reserve treasury, then yes, there's not enough Bitcoin to go around for at the current price. The price will definitely shoot up. So I mean, it would be very smart for anyone just to buy a few Bitcoins. Like it's a good hedge against a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, I've always told people, like, if you have like an investment budget, investment kind of stash, put 10% of it in cryptocurrency, right? In Bitcoin, for the most part, and maybe some Litecoin and other coins. And if this whole thing crashes and burns and goes to zero, you lost 10%. It won't really hurt you that much. But if it really takes off, it would like possibly even 10x your portfolio, right? Which has happened for most people. Like Bitcoin has gone up like 100 times. Yeah, depending on when you get in, and I think it's still early. Like it hasn't reached its true potential yet. And of course, when Bitcoin goes up, everything else will go along with it.
Nice. That's kind of the end of my questions and kind of what I'm seeing here. Do you have any questions for me or the community or any last words that you have?
Yeah, so I recently saw like Cake Wallet announced like ledger support for Litecoin. What is that? What is that? How does that work?
Yeah, so pretty much the concept is a lot of people like their ledger devices and the security that those provide, but they don't like using Ledger Live, or they want to use it with their current wallet, which for us would be Cake Wallet. So
Yep.
what you do is you plug in the Ledger to the Cake Wallet, and then you restore your Ledger seeds there, and you can send funds from your Ledger using Cake Wallet. Still to be decided, I think.
MWEB also?
Go ahead.
Does it work with MWEB also?
I was just about to say that. I don't know if it works with MWEB. That's not something I've tested yet, but I will go ahead and follow up with our dev team to see if that's something that's supported.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm sure that's something we are able to do. So
That's very cool.
Yeah, and it's exciting. And then also, for people who don't have a hardware device like a Ledger, we just released Cupcake, which right now is Monero only, but we're probably going to roll it out for other cryptocurrencies, and it's like a sidekick companion app that does like the offline signing keys, and it's supposed to be air-gapped, so pretty much functioning as a Ledger, but for like an offline phone. For people who have kind of an old device they don't use anymore but don't want to buy a Ledger, which we hope will probably be compatible with Litecoin as well, which is really exciting.
Yep. One question I've always had is, where did the name Cake Wallet come from?
Yeah, so I'm going to relay Vic's story as best as I can, but it's a lot simpler than it might seem. He wanted it to be a piece of cake, kind of like what you said earlier with MWEB. It should be easy to use, should be a piece of cake to use, and then Vic said, oh, we'll just make it Cake Wallet. And we've kind of branded everything around cake, and I think it ties in a lot with the philosophy you said earlier with MWEB and kind of what Litecoin stands for. So it seems like a really good overlap on our ends. So, yeah.
Have you ever heard the phrase, the cake is a lie?
No.
You should look it up.
I will look it up right now. Let me see.
Some of the audience members probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'll read it out live so people can see. The cake is a lie. My browser's
It's actually
the cake is a lie. Catchphrase from a video game. Oh, it's from Portal. Oh, I've played Portal and I still didn't get it.
You know, I guess you haven't kind of beat the game.
I did. I beat both of them, but it's been so long.
Yeah, it's a very well-known phrase from Portal.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. We probably could do something with that within our app. We've been trying to brand more because right now, you know, we don't have enough cake-themed stuff given the fact that we're Cake Wallet, and so we want to lean a little bit more into that marketing. I think would be like a fun way to use our name a little bit more, and something like the cake is a lie would be a really good way to introduce
or not.
I like it, so we'll see what the rest of the team thinks. But I guess this is going to be the last question on my end. What are your favorite video games? And then we'll go ahead and log off.
My favorite video games. So one of my favorite video games from way back when is Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, that's a great game.
I played that game a lot in, was it college or something? I don't actually remember when, but I played that game a lot. I play a lot of video games. Halo is really good. Obviously Portal is really good. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's probably hard too, because even if you remember the year you played Final Fantasy VII, who knows how many times they re-released that game. So.
Yeah, I haven't actually played the new releases of Final Fantasy VII, but I should.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite games.
Well, that's all I got. I want to thank you, Charlie, for coming on today. It's a complete honor to have you here on the Cake Wallet YouTube live stream. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and asking so many good questions. And I also especially want to thank you, Charlie, for answering them and just being awesome.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Quite fun.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.